Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy!
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we discuss going from a college dropout to making over $1 million a year. We discuss the new bull market and much, much more.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
We're up 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies.
Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity Dips,
And Hugh Henny.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is August 14th, Sunday, and Mitch, Hugh, my brother. Talk to me.
So the first thing we want to start with, like we always do, is this week in the market. And this week in the market, I really didn't trade that much. However, Thursday was a beautiful day for myself. This market's been inside this slow grind up for some time. And as you guys know, I've been trading a lot more futures lately. And the market basically, we hit now I'm talking about SPY, but we hit 424.95. And I had tweeted out like 1037. Or no, actually, let me refrain. I have a little trading Discord of just a few buddies, and it's really just for us. And I basically said at 10:39 a.m. Eastern time that there's a big trade coming. That'll short ES sub 4250 and SPY sub 424, and that my target was about 10 points on ES and about $2 on SPY. Well, not 2 minutes later did those levels break down, and from there we went down. Again, my target on ES was 10 points and SPY was 2 points, and SPY ended up being like a 5-point winner. And this goes back to what we talk about, and I tweeted this out, is that why it's always important, and something that I've struggled with throughout my career, but why it's always important to hold a few runners. Because when 2 points on SPY is fantastic, that's a great trade. I'm no complaints there. However, when I keep those few options and they go from 300% to 1,000%, it doesn't matter if you have 1, 2, 5, 10% of your options. Now all of a sudden, if you have 10% of that position still holding, then now. Let's just say that 300% win, again, is that if you're holding 10% on 1,000, now you're going to double your profit plus some. Let's take it let's just say you have $1,000 in them and they go to 300. They go 300%. Now you just, your profit's $3,000. Now, if you hold 10%, so $100, and it goes 1,000%, that's now an additional $1,000. Or I guess technically an additional, what would that be? Like an additional $700. So now your profit goes up by 20%. just by holding a very small amount. Now, one of the questions that I got and I received a few times was, how do you know when to hold? And so typically I keep really simple, is that I keep my stop on the last little bit right before break even. Okay. And the reason I do this is that because I don't want to give up all the profit, because again, is that 3,000 or, that 3,000, if let's just say that 10% goes back to break even, now I'm going to miss out on, about $300. Okay. But again, my upside is an additional $700. So the difference between making 2,700 and 3,000 isn't that big of a difference. But the difference between making 3,000 and making 3,700, you say, okay, yeah, I'll take that chance, And so that's the way that I typically look at it. And honestly, I would have probably held longer, but I was at the beach, we were doing all types of stuff. So, I just didn't want to mess with that. And, so that's why it's important to always keep those profits. And, a lot of people, keep those runners. And a lot of people have different ways of what they do, for those winners and stuff like that. But, that's the way that I typically handle it. Some guys, it's just a feeling, other guys, it's stuff like that. But me personally, I like to do it that way. And yeah, it's something that has helped me inside my career. And like I said, is that most times it hits my stop loss, but the few times that it doesn't, we squeeze out another, let's just say that you start sizing up, and let's just say that instead of $1,000, you're using $50,000. Well, now that win was $150,000 win, and holding those runners was the difference of $43,000. That's when you would be saying, oh shit, okay. Maybe I will hold a few. And so that was kind of this week in the market. Like I said, I didn't really trade too much, but Thursday was important. So for this week's Back to the Basics, we really wanted to get behind, basically who started technical analysis and where it comes from, because it feels like this is kind of the new age of finance. Everybody was so fundamentals only until recently with technical analysis and technical analysis coming out and more hedge funds using technical analysis, etc. So we wanted to dive into that a little bit. And the important first thing to know, because one, I thought that this would be fun. Maybe I'm the only person that likes this, but I thought it'd be fun. And so technical analysis, as we know it today, was introduced by Charles Dow and the Dow theory in the late 1800s. This is from Investopia. Now, the late 1800s is important. It continues on by saying several noteworthy researchers further contributed to the Dow theory concepts, helping to form its basis. Nowadays, technical analysis has evolved to include hundreds of patterns and signals developed through the years of research. It's really more of a newer thing. And so for me to hear the 1800s, that was honestly pretty surprising. Now the Charles Dow theory and the Charles Dow and the Dow theory I know about, but not that well prior to this episode. And so effectively what the Dow theory talks about, and honestly, we probably all use the Dow theory more than we really realize. It's one of those things where we just inherently use it, similar to technical analysis, like the article said. It's turned into something that it wasn't originally, and it's evolved, but now it's just a really big, massive, hundreds and hundreds of patterns and different sequences that are pattern recognition. And so I think that that's really cool. And the Dow theory, we'll go into that. The Dow theory is a financial theory that says the market is in an upward trend if one of its averages advances above a previous important high and is accompanied or followed by a similar advance in the other average, of course, from Investopia. Now, the reason that I read that to us was because it's the same thing when you hear us talk about SPY. I want to see SPY. When we talk about this 2 weeks ago, I want to see SPY, the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 200. I want to see it point up and curl up to the upside. And what I want to see is I don't want to see them cross. I want to see them all a nice distance apart from each other, all pointing up if I'm a bull, or pointing down if you're a bear. And I want to see them nice and crisp, pointing up, not crisscrossed, with good length and really good structure being parallel to each other. That's really what I want to see. And that comes directly from the Dow theory. Again, is that, when we talk about stocks, and what we wanted to see with SPY, we wanted to see SPY break over the 20, and we wanted to see a hold over the 20 and then go for the 50. And the 50 we wanted to see start to curl up and not just be kind of pointing inside a horizontal way. And that all comes from the Dow theory. And just to be, give you a little bit more of a definition, the Dow theory is a technical framework that predicts the market is in an upward trend if one of its averages and advances above a previous important high accompanied or followed by a similar advance in another average. Now, if you go and you look up the Dow theory, you'll see a few different charts, but there's a few that I really like. And basically, it just basically says that higher lows are an uptrend, a sideways trend are bouncing off of the same areas, kind of like a range. And then, of course, downtrend, is lower highs. And that's that's like the basis of technical analysis, that as we all know it. And the interesting thing about technical analysis is that I think that we all inadvertently, even before we knew what technical analysis is, and I'm not talking like everybody in general, I'm talking as us as traders, we were kind of easy, like, oh yeah, like every time, it gets a little bit higher, it bounces off. We just didn't know that we were talking about the Dow theory, which I think is really interesting. The last thing that I'll kind of say on this is that you have to listen or read. I prefer the audiobook to the Complete Turtle Trader. It's the thing that really got me into trading. And, it really got me into trading, and it really kind of talks about trend and how, 9 out of 10 don't have to work, but the one that works makes 1,000%, stuff like that. And I just think that that's a really great thing. And then, if you look up most successful technical analysis, technical analysis hedge funds, a lot of it comes down to what you define as a technical analysis. Do you purely mean trends? Do you mean mathematical situations, stuff like that? And the one thing that I will say, who you guys have to pay attention to, is go back and study everything you can about James Simmons. He basically started Renaissance. And he's a mathematician, and he is wild. All he does is pick up patterns, and it's really just incredible what he's been able to do. He's 84 years old. He's just absolutely incredible in what he's been able to do inside his career. He's been trading for decades and decades and decades. And, when he earned, so since 1988, he's basically earned over $100 billion in trading profits, which is just insane. I can't even fathom, honestly. He's made hundreds and hundreds of millions, and I'm talking like in years, like 1 year I think he made like 600 million or something. It's just completely wild. So I thought this would be a fun little episode to just kind of go back through, find out where the Dow theory is from, and then next week we'll be back to education. All right, so the last thing that we have, or one of the last things that we have, is the question of the week. I won't say who it's from, but it was a really good question. I really enjoyed it. I know Hugh always talks about his journal. Can we all get more information on this? How important is it to separate options, swing, intraday trades, records for checking what works and what did not? When I started journaling using Excel sheets, while keeping swings and intraday trades in the same file, Today, I learned from this link that all the data for different types of trades are different. That's why I must not mix swings, intradays, and analysis, or I guess that was analyze. I don't know why I'm correcting people. I have no basis to. But anyway, intraday trades and analyze what was going wrong and what was working. Intraday trade that can last less than 10 minutes, what time frame and what pattern worked for most of these types of trades, while swinging can last weeks or days, or same things can differ. What do you prefer for a trading journal? Excel, spreadsheet, notebook, or some of the free or paid softwares? All right, so this was a really good question, and I'm happy to answer this one. Now, sorry, I'm gathering my thoughts. Here we go. So effectively, the way that I just personally use Excel. Okay, I use Excel. That's all I need, and it works perfectly for me. Now, the way that I like to split them up is it's not necessarily based on, quick trade, long trade. It's based on the strategy. Now, my strategies, and most strategies, I would say, are actually dependent on the time frame. So like my swing strategy is my swing strategy is completely different than my intraday strategy. But let's just say that you have the same strategy for both. I think it's okay to do that. Like let's just say that every time that I don't even know, the White House gets rained on, you short SPY. Like if that's your strategy and sometimes you swing it and sometimes you don't, I think that's okay. However, 90% of traders out there their strategies are probably different between swinging and intraday and options and all of that mixed together. And so if that's the case, yes, 100% change them. Open up their own Excel spreadsheets. Okay, so like their own sheets, so like I have like 3 or 4 at the bottom. And then when you go across, go the date, go the date, go, the strike or the ticker, what price, what side, the quantity, the average price, and then then how did the trade work out? What were your sells? What was the change percentage? What was the P&L? What was the market value? What was the return on equity? Where was your stop loss at? Where was your target at? All those types of things. And then at the end, keep a little description. And then, say what went right with the trade, what went wrong, what would you do differently? Just kind of journal it out, baby. Like you're talking about 8th grade Susie, who broke your heart. What did you like about her? You liked her long legs. What didn't you like about her? She was mean. And just journal it all out, because that's going to help you. Even though in the moment you're like, oh God, like last thing I want to do is talk about this trade or, different things like that. Oh wow, I'm watching 2 guys, like my road is pretty busy that I live on. I'm just watching 2 guys just push their car down it. People are really getting pissed. Well, all right. Well, back to this. I think that it's important to separate those trades. And like I said, is that even though inside the moment, that minute, you're kind of sitting there like, oh man, like I don't want to talk about this loss, or hey, that was a textbook trade. Like I'm going to do that every time. Yeah. Although you'd like to say that, and I would too, that's just not how it works. And every time that you journal that out, you're going to start to inherently pick up on those different patterns. So you're going to say, oh shit, every time that I trade at 10:30 a.m., I don't do well. Or every time that I trade off open, I don't do that well. Data is king. Data is king. I'm telling you, okay? And it doesn't have to be super elaborate. Like I said, I just gave you 10 examples of what you can use, and then go from there. Go from there. You don't have to go nutso with it. Just give the basic information. And then, like I said, is that the most important part is, why did you take the trade? And if you have the time before the trade finishes, write out why you took the trade. while it's fresh, while it's there, while you don't know how the trade is going to work out. And then go from there and come back to it. Come back to it and see, okay, what's going on? What happened with this trade? Was my bias wrong? Was I, looking at too many things? Did I miss my cut? Did I miss my stop loss? All those different things are important. So, I typically just use Excel. I used to use a notebook. And I still do enjoy a notebook. However, Excel just looks cleaner, and I want to have it forever. And I know that if there's like a house fire, I wouldn't be taking. Actually, maybe I would be taking my trading notebook. I don't know, but my point to this is that yes, for 90% of people, your swing trading and your intraday and your options and all that fun stuff is going to be, your strategy is going to be very differently. So therefore, you need to keep those data points separate. That's all I got. And guys, we got a really, really cool rest of the episode. Bonus, the boy Cody out of Houston. I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy it. It is, he's Dan's buddy. We had a good night when I went to, too good of a night when I went to Houston. And, I won't spoil it, but he makes over $1 million a year working in law. And he's not even a lawyer. So enjoy, guys.
We got my friend Cody here, and we obviously personal finance podcast, stocks, whatever. He's gone from college dropout 8-9 years ago to making over $1 million a year in a pretty unorthodox way. Adopted in the Philippines. He's got a whole story. Mitch, you want to hear about this?
Yeah, I mean that's insane. I mean, everybody loves an awesome story, but I mean, this just sounds insane.
The comeback king, dude. So I guess you can literally get it started off with getting adopted from the Philippines. I mean, adoptions already. I mean, unless you were adopted by Brad Pitt.
It's a pretty hot topic right now. Adoption is like at the forefront right now. But yeah. So I'm Cody Hall. I'm the president and CEO of Windy Point Technologies. It's a litigation consulting firm where I literally help plaintiff lawyers mainly, go from trying their case to presenting their case. I applied to a bunch of colleges. I was honestly not the best college student or high school student. I was the typical, whatever my neighbor made, I made in class. If they made a B, I made a B. I always worked it out. Whatever they made, I made. So I did 2 years at One Star Community College. And after that, my May, basically the Mayan calendar. Right after 2012, I get a 13-inch blood clot in my right leg. And this goes back to being adopted from the Philippines. So my dad is Air Force. My mother lives in the Philippines. She's a port lady. So port lady meaning that she would sit at the dock and wait for the people from the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, you name it, whatever was coming to the dock, $500, that was her. So $500 later, Cody Hall, y'all.
So college wasn't for you. You got to the point where you realized that this wasn't what you wanted to do. Like, how do you get from dropping out of college to like no family support where it's financially to where you're at now?
Yeah, so I'm in college and I'm dating this girl who goes to UT. She's in this profession that I'm in now. And what it really started off as legal videography. So I'm starting doing depositions. I'm sitting in depositions while I'm going to school. But I'm starting to notice that the corporate representative didn't go to college. I'm starting to realize the CEO didn't go to college. I'm starting to realize that the accountant didn't go to college. It's more of the people who just got in, dug in, and are just hard workers who can read the field, read what they're doing, and make their own lane, make their path. And also they stay in their lane. They know that if they're good at this, stick at this, find your path, and you will make your way. So I'm doing depositions, and I'm seeing that this is the wild, wild west.
I mean, when you say depositions, you mean like helping lawyers? Could you kind of like dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so depositions, what we do is depositions are, you ask questions for trial. You're asking questions so you can settle the case, you can find out information, figure out different paths.
Because whenever you think about law stuff, you always think like this requires a college degree.
Yeah.
Like no lawyer doesn't have it, but like you're making more than most lawyers. You're making like you think about all these public defenders and all this bullshit. Like you went from just videoing like
the art of storytelling. So I saw a path where these guys were just trying cases. They're just hard evidence, hard evidence, hard evidence. I'm like, guys, why are we just trying so hard? Let's just present this way in a way that is just appealing to the jury, ways that the jury will relate instead of just cold hard facts like bank statements, Excel sheets. Let's make this presentable. Let's make this a way that jurors want to relate and actually listen.
Because my joke I always make about him is he's making $1 million a year making PowerPoints for lawyers. But I mean, like, what is your is that what it is? But like,
no,
also
so
like
I'm more on the side of I've done a lot of trials and I've seen a lot of juries. I work with somebody who he's picked the OJ jury, George Zimmerman jury, Casey Anthony jury, Fred Durst jury.
So you got a bunch of people that definitely did it off.
And that's where I come in, where it's not the grades you make, it's the hands you shake. Guys, shake every hand possible. You don't know where they've been in life. You don't know what they're doing. Please shake every hand that you can. There are way too many hands that you need to shake. It goes so far.
So I think one of the important things is kind of going from like where you started. Hey, like I found out I'm this videographer. I can do this. These people don't have a college degree, but it also took you a long time. You knew you were good at it. How'd you know you were good at it? And at the same time, it's like, how do you move yourself up the rankings that much to where you go from, hey, this Joe Schmo that edits videos to now you own this company where, you know, you're hiring military doctors to say how bad this is?
It's really just caring. It's caring about what you do. And I'm more of the side where I rather feel tired than embarrassed. So if I don't know an angle that I see an expert testifying. If I don't know an angle, I go and research it. I go and learn about their history. I want to know where they're coming from. I want to know about what they're talking about before I really go to the lawyers and present what I think about it. Because at the end of the day, I'm a juror. I'm not in the background of every single case. I'm not there from the beginning. I don't know the law. I didn't go to law school, but I am a juror. So if they can convince me, then they can convince a jury, because I know a little bit more than a jury, but I don't know enough to be a lawyer. So that's where I kind of come in, like reading the jury, and I'm able to tell them, guys, you are getting way too technical. Keep this simple. Like, keep it simple, stupid. It's like, it's very easy it's more the art of storytelling once you get to trial. Throughout the depositions and going up to litigation, that's where the lawyers come in. But once you get to trial, that's where the storytelling, that's where the presentation, that's where all that comes in. We do stuff where you don't wear green ties. You do research. If, say, Dasani came in and bought a water factory in that small town and that displaced 50 to 100 employees there, you do that research so you know once you get to that town, don't put a Dasani water bottle on the table. Put a different one on. Just little things like that where there's just a lot to it.
So I think when it comes to the overall grand scheme of things, how did you what do you think was the most important part aside from making the relations to getting to, if someone is just fresh out of college or in college or they know this isn't for them, what would your advice be to them to kind of, and to anyone listening, he was doing this for 8 to 10 years. Like he just started making this crazy amount recently.
Like Dan said, yes, it was literally December is when it just started happening. But I took pride from the $35,000 car wreck to the $300 million plane explosion that killed 15 people. No matter what you are doing, take pride. Absolutely take pride, because no matter who you're dating, where you're at, what you're doing, you have, like, people ask, what do you do? Be prideful in it. Say, I help $35,000 car wrecks. I help $35,000 fender benders. Through that to the $300 million plane explosions. Take pride and be confident in what you do.
And that literally gives me chills because I remember like whenever we first started recording the podcast, and my mom's sending me job fair opportunities, and like I'm like, no, I just know this can work.
And
you know,
I would say 100% listen to your head, but hear your gut, man. Your gut's gonna guide you the right way. My gut said do this. You know, law's never going out of business. Like we were talking about, all my friends that were 2 years older than me, oh man, I can't find a job. I need job experience. I need this, I need that. The law was never going out of business. The law is set in stone. I knew that that was the path I was going to go. So I knew that that was the right choice. You have to make, or not make the right choice, but you just have to feel the right choice.
and were you trying more than one things at once whenever this
Oh yeah.
was
So yeah, like I was saying earlier, like I was with a group called CRC. We had my boy Bryce White. We were doing music videos, doing music. We're signed to a group called OSAT Music out in Milwaukee, doing the little things like that, you know, South by Southwest, booking little venues here or there, DJs. But the law, I just knew was the right path. I knew that the law was never going out of business, no matter how much technology advances, no matter how much you regress, somehow
someone's getting sued.
Inflation, no matter where you're at, somebody's getting sued. Somebody's going to need to present the technology. Somebody's going to need to help presenting the case. And I've done over 200 trials. And so
you probably amassed over like 3 billion or so. And
I've been in an $8 billion verdict, $222 million verdict.
Is there any you can talk about that you'd find interesting? I know there's one that, you know,
Johnson & Johnson. Just don't trust just don't trust Johnson & Johnson.
Is that the man titties?
That's the Risperdal. If you are on Risperdal, or if you've taken Risperdal, please get off of it. Johnson & Johnson is a terrible company. Please do not. I don't know if we can talk about this with whatever, but just please, Johnson & Johnson.
Not financial advice. It's legal advice.
This is legal. Oh yeah, pure legal advice. Don't use Johnson & Johnson.
All right. So obviously you talked about the hands you shake, not the grades you make, and all of that. You grinded for years and years and years. What do you think was the most important part of? Was there a case? I mean, you talk about these $8 billion cases, but what is it that really changed you to make it be like, I can do this forever?
It's not. I believe in the case, yes, but it's more in believing in yourself. You have to see not even your end goal, but where you want to end up, and even further than that. So where you want to end up and what happens after you get there. So I saw that law never going out of business. The field I'm in is the Wild Wild West. We don't really have rules. We have to follow rules, of course, but there's no rules and regulations. There's no OSHA. There's no set standard. Like the industry I'm in is all handshakes. So I understood that the field I was going to go into was.
Do you think most industries are all handshakes?
Absolutely, I think so. Like I was telling you earlier, the CEOs, the corporate representatives I saw that didn't go to college, they didn't get there because they were their brains. They got there because they were handshakers. They were good at business development. They were good at building clientele. They were smooth operators, and they knew how to get to where they wanted to be.
Do you think you're smarter than the average person at your job, or do you think you just had the personality and knew how to, accommodate that with what you had?
100% not smarter than the smartest person in the room. I operate more off of common sense. Like I said earlier, I don't read books, I read people. So I let more the people that I'm talking to talk, and I get a read off of that. But no, I am definitely not the smartest person in the room. Like I told you in high school, I made whatever the person next to me made.
Does that mean you were cheating?
I was business developing. I was networking.
He was taking advice from someone else.
I was networking. No, and I'm sure it's just like it's kind of like everything, guys. You have to read. You have to feel. I don't think you have to feel whatever you're in.
But let's just say like you're out of college. You have something you kind of like doing. Like let's say you're you're in, engineering or just some bullshit. You're just getting by. Obviously, you kind of stumbled into yours and like just rolled with it. Do you have any advice or know anything to tell the people that like may not be in that position where they don't love that spot, or if they are, how to advance it? Like, did you just go to the highest person in the room and were like, hey, I can do this. I've been doing this and I can do more?
That's a good point. So it probably took me about 3 years into just being a videographer, meaning I would go to a deposition.
How much are you getting paid then?
$25 an hour. I mean, my first year, I probably made $24,000 to $26,000 my first year doing it.
How'd you even get the job?
Like I said, I was dating a girl that was neighbors to.
You just more connection.
Exactly. We did more than shake hands, but we got there. Yeah. And so her neighbor came up to. So she went to UT, and I was back at One Star College, like I was saying, and she'd work like an hour, 2 hours a day. And I was a waiter at Blue Water Seafood. Go check it out, 1960 and Champions. But I was like, how are you off of work after 2 hours? Like, what do you do? Like, what job is 2 hours? Are you like, what is that? And this is 2010. So technologies, there's no Uber, there's nothing. Like, what are you doing at 2010 for 2 hours?
You got the hookup. You're in the job. But like,
she said, I do depositions.
How do you level up like that though? I mean, like, obviously, 26 grand a year to $1 million is fucking insane.
It's quite the jump. But so I sat in a bunch of depositions. I would do car wreck after car wreck after car wreck.
Yeah, you told me you would say yes to everything, regardless if you knew how to do it.
Yes, man. I would say yes and figure it out later. So I'm in a deposition and someone comes up to me and says, do you do trials? Of course I do trials. What are you talking about? I do trials all the time.
But you didn't do trials.
Didn't even know how to spell trial, pretty much. I thought it was with a Y.
Trile.
Yeah, Chile. It's like tile, but with an R.
Yeah.
So I immediately go back to my boss. Hey, I got a trial. This guy asked me, how do you do trials? She's like, holy shit, what did you just do? I turned down trials because they're so stressful. They're so hard. I was like, well, let's try it. Like, why are we scared? Like, and no offense to people.
Can't spell trial without try.
Exactly. That's why you don't try a case, you present it. So I had some experience knowing that people in your field, they're a little bit older, and I'm the younger dude. I know technology, and so I just go for it. I YouTube it. I YouTube trial director,
and that is, for anyone listening, YouTube is the best educational thing.
YouTube is.
15 years ago, if you wanted to learn something, Encyclopedia or Ask Jeeves. Like 25 years ago, just encyclopedias. Like YouTube, you can fucking learn anything.
So I literally YouTube about 12 hours worth of trial director. I mean, just everything that I can do. And I have my laptop right here. The other attorney's on the other side. I flip my screen around. I have a screen over here, my laptop, HDMI it in, and I have a full sheet. I mean, I'm saying all my codes. A plus I, Alt, D plus C, all the hotkeys, and I'm just going off. And they don't know that I'm cheating at all. It's all laid out right in front of me.
How are you cheating in a trial?
No, this wasn't trial. This was just going to their office right before the trial, saying, Cody, we want you to come present, see if you can handle our documents. Meaning they have JSA, job safety analysis. They have Excel spreadsheets. They have basically what I do. Anything you want physical to make digital, I can make it digital and make it presentable to the jury so they understand. That's another thing.
You're the lawyer's millennial.
I'm the lawyer's millennial. I am the dream person for anybody between 25 and 45, essentially. You want to learn how to present the colors. I knew all the colors. You want to present this piece of evidence, it needs to be red. You want to present this.
Yeah, so if you've been in a car wreck, this is the guy to call. I swear to God, you'll be riding in a car with him and be like, please, I beg for this car to slam on the brakes.
You will be in a 2020 Defender.
Can you tell me two more things? Is one is the most important part, aside from just a hand you shook, like that took you to where you're at. Obviously, you just started making a lot more money recently by making an LLC. why did that change things? And also, we do want to hear about a fun case if there's any NDAs that aren't available. But yeah, I would love to know what that big moment was that made you step up from little videographer to the big boy.
Like I said yes, and I finally went to trial. I saw how it worked, and we settled right before we actually went into the case. So we're going in, the jury's walking in, and the group that I was with settled out with the plaintiff.
Did they settle because your PowerPoint or whatever you did was just so good?
I was not powerful. I was just pointing. No, there was just all pure points. No power. So I actually worked more for the defense side my first 3 trials. And it sounds weird, but it helps. I was pulling up documents faster. I was calling out points faster. The attorneys would go, "Wait, Cody, let's go to page 4, what the plaintiff just showed." And that's where you have to care, and you have to just really be passionate about what you do and believe in yourself. I truly believe that if I would just pay attention, and it's weird, in whatever field you're in, just look at the other people around you. Look at the person, the cubicle next to you. Listen to whatever field you're in, just look at the people in your field and just work harder than them, because that's all I did. It's so simple.
Yeah, and you work your ass off. There are times
I will say hard work pays off, smart work pays more. I do work hard, but I combine it more with smart work, and I just pay attention better. So I know that these attorneys want to go here. I know that these people want to go here. That's what separates myself. I don't wait for them to tell me something. I go and learn it for myself. And it really is true. Like I get 90 to 100 exhibits. I go through every single page. So I know that this page has this. Maybe it's more of a skill set. Maybe it's more of a memory thing, but that's my lane. I can, for whatever reason, remember on exhibit 89, page 4, there is the JSA where it says you have to pull the pin, stuff like that.
Do you think your age had, and like your maybe love for tech, like you're on social media, like 100%. Is that, and they just didn't have that, and that's
also my field.
Just taking advantage of that opportunity coming, like
100% taking advantage. Everyone in my field is probably about 45 to 50 and older. They're probably true coders. They are probably people who were the first Macintosh. They knew Steve Jobs, stuff like that. But they did not bother to continue learning. They did not have the passion to stay on top. My field is very, very niche. It's a small field. No one really does it. But if you can continue to be on top, which I'm sure in other fields, be passionate, and you will always stay on top. And like I always say, always feel tired than embarrassed. If you, whatever you're doing, the last hour, there's several times where I'm like, you know what? Fuck this document. I want to go to sleep. But I spend an extra hour on it. And then those attorneys are scrambling the next day to find that exact page. And guess what? I stayed up the extra hour and I found it. Yes, am I dog ass tired? Fuck yes. But I found that word. I found that page, and I not saved the day, but I just made it a little bit smoother, because the jury doesn't want to be there. I made it smoother. I made it seem like we're on top of our stuff. It's all about passion. I really do think it's about passion. In believing, not only in the field you're in, but more yourself. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like that's such a thing that a lot of people don't do these days. It's like you see social media, everyone's on a yacht. They only post their best days. No one posts the days they're sad. So you just see this chick from high school or college. She's always in Cabo. She's been in Cabo for the past 6 months, but all those pictures were from the same fucking trip she went for 4 days, you know? So I guess last thing is, is there any good trial stories that you can kind of fucking dive into? You've had 200 million, 8 billion. You've had crazy ones. I know you're working for one for what, 10 billion.
Talcum powder, Roundup.
But no, if you have any good one that people want to fucking hear, like what I mean, and you gotta think people that listen here are stock trading guys. I mean, I know you talked about the
I've done some RICO cases. I've done some blind auctions. So my first trial ever in Beaumont, Texas was 3 months long, May 27th to August 17th. This was a bankruptcy case. I also did a RICO one on Astroworld. Some people from Italy bought an acre of land of Astroworld, and if you're not from Houston, Astroworld is Travis Scott. We have a lot of clients from that. But Astroworld, they bought an acre of land, and what they would do is that they would go overseas, they'd go to Miami, they go to wherever the big money makers were, and they would market. I have this huge, and they would call it Epic One Center. And what they would do is that they would take them to that 1 acre of land, and they would show them the whole Astroworld. And Astroworld is probably 50, 60 acres of just flat land in Houston, Texas, the oil capital world, NASA, you name it, it's all right there. And so what they would do is show them, and then they would invest 10 million, 20 million. They had the one Epic Center. So it'd be basically George R. Brown in Houston, which is also another big convention center. It's basically where you host like car shows, rodeo, you name it, they would be there. And so they embezzled over $288 million worth of investors. And with their money, they would take them to Italy. They would take them to Miami, buy yachts. They would do just all sorts of fun stuff with their money. And they would never build the Epic One Center because it just didn't exist. And that was a fun one. That was tried in Houston, and that was a $282 million verdict right there. Shout out Spags. Another one was the Johnson & Johnson one, where we took a 7-hour deposition of the CEO, and we found out the guy that was in charge from 1992 to 1997 was he was basically finding doctors that would lie to the FDA for Johnson & Johnson.
That's crazy.
There's just some stuff out there that they would ask, like, hey, we have some studies that aren't good for us. Can we find a doctor to validate this for the FDA? Yeah, hit up this doctor, hit up that doctor. They will, for whatever price, they will say this, they will say that. So they found those doctors, and Risperdal, it's basically from boys from age like 5 to 14. Their hormones through puberty, they would not work well with Risperdal, and they would really grow female breasts. I'm saying, like,
dudes were getting titties.
They had some titties on.
That's why we didn't get J&J. We went with no, you didn't go Moderna. What was the other one?
Pfizer.
Is that the good one? You
no
can't say
right now.
No comment yet.
We might have something.
But guys, the thing we just had him on for is to say, like, you know, it doesn't matter the fucking he dropped it. It looks like I was holding you like this the whole time. Dude, you know, it doesn't fucking matter about like you going to college, you making it, you failing a few times. He could have started the exact same shit today, and 8 years from now he'd be in the same position because he works his fucking ass off. He grinded every time.
It's hard work pays off, smart work pays more. It's not the grades you make, it's the hands you shake. Don't read books, read people. Don't eat food that you can't spell, and don't eat food that makes you cry. Those are the simple rules to life.
Hey, don't.
Yeah, don't. And I can't even spell onion. So.
Yeah, no, UNYUN. Onion.
Truly, guys, be passionate about what you're doing. If you really and truly, if you don't know where you're going in life, you see a little lane, do as much research, or just read the field, read what you're doing, and believe in yourself. Be passionate, all gut, no brain. Believe in yourself.
All right. And last thing, obviously, I'm sure there's tons of people that listen to this podcast that have any fucking law shit. Is there any way they can reach out to you? Maybe they want an internship. Maybe they want to work for you or anything. Is there any way or anything they can do to reach out?
So Instagram, Windy Point Technologies. Technologies is IES.
Yeah, Windy is WIN.
Yeah, like Windy City, but Windy Point with no E. Windy Point Technologies. We're on Instagram there. but I really don't advertise too much because you don't want the jury to be researching you too much. So yeah, I'm gonna put it out here. Should I put my email?
Yeah, no, just drop your email.
Yeah, so it's C Hall, the letter C Hall, HALL at WindyPT.com. If you're in the legal field, or honestly, if you can't pass the bar, no knock on you. You would be the perfect person for this job. If you cannot pass the bar and you have gone to law school, you will excel so much. If you are in the oil field and you've worked on the plants and you are tired of working 12s, you're tired of working 14s, please contact me. That is the field that we are in. You can help out a lot with JSAs. You know how it all works.
And he works. I mean, I remember one time asking him, like, because he talks about having military surgeons come in. Like,
yes.
He gets the highest class of people to come in to be the person that says, hey, jury, we're right, they're wrong. Okay?
We definitely, we get the top of the top. We get the elite. We get people who are in Iraq who have trained or worked on people who have been run over mines, who have been shot at. We work with people who graduated from Harvard. We do our due diligence. We do it right.
And if you want to be a witness for him, I think he pays like 20 to 50 grand for those too. So
no, easily. That's just beginning.
Yeah, no. So if you were jumping in Fallujah, which I know no one jumped in Fallujah.
Yeah, but you have to spell Fallujah though. You have to spell it live. No autocorrect. You have to spell it off the top of your dome, and it has to be right because Fallujah's a doozy.
All right, guys. Well, that is one of my best friends, Cody Hall. I hope he could help you out for the lawyer guys or just anyone, in a rut. Me and Hugh recorded this at 2 different times, so this is gonna be a little funny one.
And I really, really appreciate Penny's Going in Raw. We've collabed on a soccer team.
We do on a soccer team.
I've met Mitch, great people. Dan, I hang out all the time. These are really, really genuine people who really care. They're not faking this. They are great people. And I hope y'all really take this to heart because they really are good people. I do mean that, not even because I'm sitting next to them. I really, truly do believe that.
My dog.
Hey, appreciate it.
So I do have a funny story to kind of end the podcast is that, funny enough, I invited a girl I'm not the most proud of to a event at the 43rd floor of our apartment building. Obviously, kind of a nice place, right? She's been a little loud, she's on one per se. But eventually I just had to be like, hey, I think it's time for you to leave. She was not okay with having to leave, and she started causing a scene. Okay, understandable, whatever. But it's people I live with. Nice apartment in downtown Houston. I can't have that. So I was like, hey, someone's got to tell her to leave. I was like, hey, let me go get your key is still in my apartment. So let me go get that. Okay. So we go down there and, she gets her stuff, whatever. She leaves, quote unquote, peacefully. And afterwards, I get a call and I'm a piece of shit. So what do? I invited another girl over to come join us at the bar. Concierge calls and they're like, hey, can you wave at the camera? And I was like, I guess, yeah, sure. Can you just send her up, just fine. And what happened around, a minute later, someone comes to the thing and they're like, hey, come outside. There's a cop. It's like she had bloody knees, was really going crazy in the elevator. I was like, bro, what are you talking about? So I showed the cop the text and everything, and we go down and see the video. Turns out she didn't have bloody knees. It was bingo night, and she got the fucking marker all over her fucking self. So, of course, I was still good. Talked to the bar owner, went back up. Everything was okay. But still, there's a lot. I know I posted on my Instagram story, but still a little funny story for y'all. And yeah, we love you guys. We hope you guys have a great fucking week, and we'll see you next time.
Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.